Right now on Upfront.
War powers.
And then a debate. Finally.
The Senate advancing a major vote to the floor this week, 5 Republicans joining Democrats, now potentially forcing President Trump to seek congressional approval for military force in Venezuela.
This isn't personal towards President Trump.
It's easy to get into wars. It's hard as hell to get out of them.
This Sunday, our exclusives, Republican Senator Ron Johnson, Democrat Tammy Baldwin, just moments after the vote.
Bucks shakeup. The sudden departure of Milwaukee Bucks president Peter Feigin, the team, Deer District, the major political conventions under his watch, and now the new president, Josh Gleason, already in place. And both are here with us together.
On the ground in Minneapolis.
Don't touch my flag. This is America.
An ICE agent shoots and kills a 37-year-old woman. There's growing controversy about who's to blame.
We're here at Title 8 Immigration Enforcement.
Tensions rising, protesters and federal agents face off, and we're there on the front lines.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. A lot to get to this Sunday. Our reporting on the ground as tensions rise in Minneapolis coming up. But first, that jam-packed week in Washington. Congressman Derek Van Orden, one of 17 House Republicans, primarily from swing or competitive districts this fall, voting to extend Obamacare subsidies for another 3 years.
Then the War Powers vote in the Senate. The full Senate will vote on a War Powers resolution this upcoming week after 5 Republicans joined Democrats in a rare rebuke to President Trump to advance the measure. We talked with both Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin, who voted yes, and Republican Senator Ron Johnson, who voted no, just minutes after the vote. With that, let's bring in Republican and Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, great to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Happy New Year. Thanks for having me on.
You don't believe the president's authority to use military force in Venezuela should be reined in, according to your vote?
Well, first of all, I think it's undeniably good that Nicolas Maduro is out of power. He's a narco-terrorist. He's running a narco-terrorist state. He was illegitimate president of that country. 8 million Venezuelans had fled the country because of the destruction that socialism has wrought on what should be a wealthy nation, and hopefully will be a wealthy nation again. This is not an unprecedented action by a United States president. Both Democrat and Republican presidents have taken similar type of actions. Our Constitution gives the president a great deal of authority. I support that authority, and the impressive success of the finest among us, members of our military, in getting into Venezuela, extracting Maduro and his wife, bringing them to justice, I think is, again, something we should celebrate.
Yeah, from some of the briefings that you've had already just this past week, are you fully comfortable with how U.S. forces captured Maduro and his wife?
Yeah, it was a stunning success. I mean, only the U.S. military could have done that. Again, I applaud the finest among us who put their lives at risk for this enforcement action.
Yeah, critics of this say that it really sets the wrong precedent. How do you respond to that?
It's undeniably good that Nicolas Maduro is gone, and I think it now gives the Venezuelans a chance to rebuild their nation. Again, this is basically reintroduction of the Monroe Doctrine. We shouldn't allow foreign adversaries, China, Russia, Iran, Cuba, into the Western Hemisphere. This gives the Venezuelan people a chance to rebuild their economy with ties to Western capital for the benefit of Venezuela, for the people, for the Western Hemisphere, and for America. Again, this is going to be hopefully a good situation. I'm hoping it turns out well.
The president has mentioned several other countries in the past week. Related to Greenland, would you back any use of military force by the administration to take over that country?
That's not going to happen. I think previous administrations had literally tried to buy Greenland. This isn't something new. American presidents, administrations have recognized the strategic importance. We have a treaty in place with Denmark. They're NATO ally. But I think it's perfectly appropriate for the president to be pointing out the strategic importance, particularly now when you have China and Russia doing everything they can to potentially bottle up the Arctic Ocean there and those passageways. So this is good that we're raising the profile of the importance of Greenland.
To the president's supporters who say that this is dramatically turning away from the president's America's First message that he said on the campaign trail, how would you respond to that?
When you make the Western Hemisphere a safer place, when you shut down a narco-terrorism country, reduce the flow of narcotics that are killing tens of thousands of Americans, I'd say that's a good thing. I think that is America first.
And so, again, just on the precedent of this happening, you are not concerned that what we've seen in terms of the U.S. and the military operation in Caracas is setting the wrong precedent for other countries across the country?
It's not a new precedent. It's not a new precedent. Other presidents, both Democrat and Republican, have done similar types of things. So, no, this is what a president, his constitutional authority allows him to do. This was a stunning success. God bless members of our military. This is going to be good for the Western Hemisphere, for Venezuela, and for America.
Yeah, what is next for Venezuela and Venezuela-U.S. relations in your opinion?
Well, again, you can tell that President Trump does not want to put troops on the ground in nation build. He's going to use the oil as leverage to make sure that the transition administration does right by the Venezuelan people. So we'll buy that oil. We'll put that money into an escrow account to pay the civil servants so they can keep Venezuelan society operating as we transition to a real election. Again, the election was stolen by Maduro. But have a real election so you can establish freedom and democracy for the people of Venezuela and far greater prosperity.
Senator Ron Johnson, really appreciate your time on a very busy week. We appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin is here as well. Senator Baldwin, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I want to ask about Venezuela. You've spoken out against how U.S. forces captured Maduro. I know you voted for the War Powers Resolution this past week as well. Why shouldn't the president have power to use military force?
The president clearly has the power to use military force when we are in imminent danger and our national security is on the line. But the president has made it very clear after storming into Venezuela that his objective was about oil, that he wanted to secure Venezuelan oil resources for his big oil buddies. We need a president who is focused on bringing down costs in the United States for hardworking families. That's what he said he would do. But instead, he is distracted by invading Venezuela. He's talking about invading Greenland, Colombia, Cuba. He's talking about building ballrooms. He's talking about all sorts of things and not focusing in on the thing that working Wisconsinites want him focused on and what he promised he would do on day one, which is bringing down costs.
Should Maduro, though, have been allowed to continue governing for as long as he sees fit, funneling tons of cocaine into the United States, according to prosecutors?
Look, there is a justice system for dealing with these issues. Maduro was under indictment, but we cannot have a world where one country says, I don't want, wants to interfere with the leadership of a neighboring country. What if China did this with Taiwan? What if India did this with Nepal? I mean, this is not the precedent for global peace that we need. This president came into office saying, I am going to end conflicts on day one. And instead, we see him creating a new one. But remember, the president, within hours of this military operation, said that he was going to run Venezuela and that he was going to take over their oil resources. I think he has been very clear about what his motive was in invading Venezuela on this military mission.
The president also mentioned other countries as well in the past week. You mentioned Greenland. What if the U.S. attempted to buy Greenland instead of using military force? Is there any scenario in which you would support that?
Look, there are bilateral negotiations that happen all the time, and there's no reason why we should not be in open dialogue with all of our allies and, frankly, our adversaries, because diplomacy is very important and trade is very important. But I just want to say that we have a long-term presence in Greenland that dates back to pre-World War II days. And there are treaties and agreements in place that allow us to have a conversation about our security needs and theirs. But I certainly think this saber rattling that the president is doing about military takeover of Colombia, of Cuba, of Greenland, as well as running Venezuela, is getting him way off course in terms of what Americans elected him to do.
And you would be okay, though, having the conversation about purchasing, in this case, Greenland?
Look, we need to talk to our neighbors. We need to talk to our allies. It may be a non-starter, and then we'll find out. But my goodness, this is such a distraction for this president from what he ought to be looking at, which is the affordability for American people of their health care, their child care, their groceries, their energy bills. He's doing everything he can to make it worse rather than make it better.
Senator Tammy Baldwin, thanks so much for being here and for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, coming up, a sudden shakeup in the Milwaukee Bucks organization, outgoing President Peter Feigin and the new president, Josh Glessing, with us both together next.